Hello, Republic of Gamers, and welcome to ROG Sidequest, the gaming podcast where we talk about, well, just about anything in the gaming world. My name is Solid Jake. I'm your host, and this week we are joined by Scrusby. Did I pronounce it correctly, Dan? Oh, I think you're muted on your end. Nope, nothing. We just did a sound test. Oh no. Oh, no, it's all me. I'm an idiot. I turned your gate up, but I had you muted. There's two things. I'm the scrub. What's up, Scrusby?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. First time on the show. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about what you do here at Asus?
Yeah, sure. I'm one of the video producers here. I've been at Asus for about 3 years now, and
Nice.
I do a lot of the content, a lot of e-tail videos. Back when we were doing a lot of events, I would be at the events filming, catching up with what's going on. I think the last event we did was PAX last year, which was a great time. We got to hang out with a lot of influencers and film their comings and goings at the show.
Which PAX? PAX
And
East or Prime?
PAX East
Hmm.
back in Boston.
Yeah, it's funny because that was before my time at Asus, but that was the last event I went to. That's the last because it's actually very close to where I am, and I feel like that was probably the last gaming convention in the U.S. that's happened. Like, honestly, when I think about the big conventions in the U.S., that's right when COVID was like first starting, and a lot of developers actually backed out of that event because they're like, well,
Yeah.
we don't want. I mean, Sony was one of the big ones because they're like, COVID had gotten pretty bad in Japan, and they're like, we're not sending our staff to PAX. And I remember one of the appealing things for me was Final Fantasy VII Remastered was going to be there, and
Yeah.
I forget who, somebody picked up like the booth for that and made it work out, so it was still playable. But anyways, it was a fun time. Now, how much has changed for you without having conventions to like be part of your workflow?
Um, it's not really much has changed. Like events where there would be a major event every couple of months, so I'd go there and film what's going on and make a couple of short videos about it. But the majority of my job is here in Fremont, filming products, taking photos,
Hmm.
and doing all sorts of editing and stuff for everyone. So not really much has changed. Sure, a significant portion of my job, is not there anymore. And I do miss traveling about, eating lots of different foods and stuff. I always love going to Boston, getting some like lobster and stuff. So
The chowder.
that's gone. Some chowder.
The classic. Everybody does that, and there's a lot of great stuff right near the convention center. Great event to attend. PAX East, PAX Prime, they both have a lot of cool stuff, and hopefully before too long we'll have them back. But guys, obviously this is a gaming podcast where we just kind of jam about whatever we like each and every week. And this week, one of the big things on Twitch and across the internet is Valheim. So I wanted to take time to talk about Valheim, but also the upcoming survival games that I'm excited for and that you might be excited for later this year. But let's just kind of start with a primer. Where are you in Valheim? Like, what is your progression with the game?
We just got to the mountains. We're just starting to experiment with silver. We're kind of at a period where we just want to have some fun building,
Yeah.
expanding our base. You know those crazy tall giant churches in Sweden and Norway?
Yeah.
They look super metal. My friend, he spent some time and a lot of wood making one of those, and this thing
That's
is
cool.
massive. Yeah, I didn't see him build it. I logged in one day and it was there, and it just blew my mind. I was sailing across a little ocean, and then in the distance, I see this giant spire of wood. Blew my mind.
So are you playing on like someone's save, or do you guys have a dedicated server that someone's hosting?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's the way to do it. We've got like on our server, there's basically three groups playing, and each group is like three people. So we sometimes it's full, it only supports up to 10 players per server, but a lot of us haven't crossed paths yet. So it's going to be really interesting when we finally start to check out each other's bases, and one group is way ahead of everyone else. For
you ever
me,
consider doing like PvP
we
like that
we,
way?
we probably will. Yeah, we're actually thinking of making our own. The cool thing about this world is you can really do whatever you want to the terrain. You can flatten it out. You can make hills. So we've been thinking about making our own PvP like games. Like imagine a mode where you have to somehow race with a cart full of stone. Right? You like fill the cart with stone. You have to pull it. And I don't know if you've ever pulled a cart that's full of stone before, but when they get really tough to move up and down hills and managing your stamina and stuff is I don't know. There's like some stupid capture the flags type things that we're contemplating on doing.
Yeah, that'd be pretty fun. I was thinking just like you have three different bases, three different groups of people. Just hey, that guy's got a blue shield. Kill.
Blue banners, green banners. Yeah, we could actually do all that. Oh no, Bueno's in chat. He's like, please don't fight me. He's in the group that's ahead of me. They just killed the 4th boss last night. Congrats, Bueno.
No.
Yeah, yeah. My group actually, Rano just popped in the chat. He's in my group. We're priming to fight the 3rd boss. So it's gonna be fun. I actually attempted it solo last night. Well, technically my wife was there, but she just ran away. Did not go well.
Yeah, I think we started that fight and very quickly realized it was not one we could win. So we backed out and then had to do some better preparation.
Yeah, it's cool though. I mean, I like what they're doing because I was not expecting the survival game to feel like an RPG. And the way that they, have different types of weapons from slash to blunt to pierce, different weapon skills that you're leveling up. So I'm playing like the archer, right? I'm running bow and dagger, and that's what I play, right? How about you? What is your preference for weapons?
Right now, I'm doing a spearman, but I do have a big hammer that I carry around. The big giant Thor's hammer that you lug over your shoulder and schlep around and just go rah.
I just
for like blobs and stuff.
I actually just leveled mine up for that purpose. The iron one.
It's also really great for if you need to harvest wood, you just go, next to some of those little skinny trees and you just slam the ground and they just turn to logs instantly.
Huh. That's a good tip. I need to do that more. I wasn't I was a little surprised though there's no weapon skill for that. That's like its own thing. It's more of a tool than a weapon type because as far as I can tell, I'm not gaining any skill with it.
I think the giant iron hammer is a blunt. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm getting blunt skill when I smash things with
okay.
it. No.
I'll have to double check. But either way,
I'm not sure,
the different fantasies,
I just know it's fun.
Yeah, we've got like a tank in our party. I'm curious where the game's gonna go. Like, will we get magic? We've seen there are enemies that have magic, like the shaman. They have healing and they have the poison damage. So we've seen fire enemies. I don't know how far everyone is, but there's clearly magic in the game. So could be cool to see if somehow we can make a magical staff someday or something.
Yeah, I remember I came into the game pretty blind, so I didn't really know what to expect. I just knew it was a survival game. And I wasn't expecting that RPG element. And I was getting some flashbacks to WoW with the weapon skill
exactly.
And things like that. And even just like the art style, it reminded me of vanilla WoW. You start out with just a dude in, really lame pajamas and underwear just running around.
I'll be honest, this is probably the game that has hooked me and made me want to play and made me dream about at night. The first game to do it since Classic WoW. And I got to give it a lot of credit because, again, no one was waiting for this game. No one was anticipating this game. It just kind of happened. And that seems to be like more and more the norm nowadays. When there's a popular game, it's just like, hey, look, Fall Guys. The whole internet's like, oh my God, Fall Guys, right? And they just go nuts for it.
Yeah, it's crazy just like how big this thing has blown up in just a short amount of time. Just eclipsed everything.
It did. And it's really fascinating. But I'm trying to think of like the other things about this game that are appealing. I call it adult Minecraft a lot of the times. Would you say that's an apt classification, or is it more than that?
I mean, yeah, I'd say that's apt, but at the same time, Minecraft's like 10 years old, so a lot of people who played Minecraft are, adults now.
That's true.
But no, yeah, it does feel like there's more of like a structure to it. There's more set goals, so you can, you get a sense of accomplishment. I think there's just like a nice blend of like, there's enough depth, but there's enough just like sort of for lack of better words, casual nature to it. Like, in other survival games like The Forest or Raft, you have to worry about eating and drinking. You have to worry about getting water and getting food.
Yep.
In Valheim, you don't have to eat. Granted, you do if you want to, get anywhere, but you don't have to worry about constantly, we can't go on an adventure right now because we got to get some water. We got to get some food. We're running low on water. So you can just, hop in and hop out as you please.
So that's something that I really want to talk about. And I think just like the evolution of like how a survival game handles those mechanics, because you have the hyper realism of some games like Green Hell. Have you ever played Green Hell?
No, but I've heard of it.
Green Hell is, I would call it a clone of the forest that took the forest to another extreme, where you have to worry about spiders and snakes and leeches and all these things in this jungle. And if you get a leech on you, you need to physically inspect your legs and arms through the menu and peel them off. Then you need to dress the wound and like take care of it. So like the actual survival elements of that, plus making sure you're eating clean and safe food and water and all of that constantly, it's a ton of work. That's most of the gameplay. I mean, and yeah, you're building and you're discovering the story, but it's incredibly time consuming in terms of just like being safe and staying alive. Then
are all those creepy crawlies, like when you remove the leash, is there an animation for it? Is it all in the menus?
I think you're peeling it off. Yeah, I believe so. But it's but I mean, again, then the enemies are kind of janky. So there's like these, spiders and snakes. You might not see scorpion, whatever, and then you're dead, and you're dead, and then you're dead again and again and again, and then you eventually figure out, okay, this is what I have to do, or this is how I actually heal myself. But the learning curve is definitely pretty hard there. But the forest,
Yeah,
go ahead.
that's an issue we had with the raft. Is like it took us a while to figure out what to do. We're just on a raft. We didn't know how to get water, how to make water. So for the first couple times, we were just dying after playing for 10 minutes. It's a little disheartening.
That's true. Oh, Arano just brought up a point in Green Hell that I actually somehow forgot to bring up. You have a sanity meter in that game, which also exists in the forest. But in the forest, the sanity meter doesn't really do much to you. There's like no like downside to it that I remember. Maybe stamina or something.
Now that you mention it, I totally forgot that there even was a stamina meter, because it didn't really have much bearing on the game.
In the Green Hell, you start seeing illusions which attack you, and you start like losing your mind, and like these like shadow demons or something are running at you. They're like tribal people of the islanders. I don't know. It's kind of cool. Like the Green Hell has definitely taken an idea and brought it to one extreme. But when we look at the opposite spectrum of what we're seeing right now, we see Valheim, as you mentioned, where the food is like health buff. That's also what New World is doing with it. They're giving you like this huge incentive to cook and make better food and always have food and like continue eating as you play. But really, that's more for like your health regen and just like I think you have no health regen unless you're well fed. So I don't remember. I mean, I only played the alpha a while back, and who knows what's changed since then, because it was kind of like an early access alpha. But they're definitely going to take that similar idea and bring it in a different way, which is good. I think it's nice to have both spectrums.
Yeah, it's nice to have that immersion of having to eat and drink, but at the same time, it's also nice to if you just want to play casually and not have to worry about these things as much. That's what I appreciate about these games, is like immersion factor.
Right.
You can play Viking or you can play Survivor, but you can hop in and hop out. It's nice escapism.
Let's talk about Valheim's graphics. When I first saw it, I was like, ugh. But now I just thought it was like, stylistically, it just looked kind of crappy. It looked cheap. It looked, like whatever. But now that I actually have gotten into the game, I don't even notice the graphics. I actually love the graphics. The lighting effects and the fog and all of that, I think are really impressive. And the map is huge, and I don't think that would be possible if they didn't use this low poly count.
Yeah. I think, thinking back, I think I had sort of the same reaction when you were being flown in on, the Valkyries flying you into the land. I think thought it looked a little plain, just because it's just you, a character, and this, Valkyrie, and just a plain background. But once I got on the ground, I was like, oh, this place does look pretty cool. I like the ambient lights, especially when you're at the border of the Black Forest and the meadows. You have this nice orange glow at the meadows, and then this, this eerie blue ambient coming from the woods, and they meet, and there's this nice, that classic movie color palette. Oh, a nice bright orange and a deep blue. It just looks really cool.
Or if you're up in like the hills and the Black Forest and the swamps are down below, you got these green things poking. It looks really cool. So I think it's actually a strength, though. But I'm not the first person that I've talked to other people that have also said they feel the graphics at first were like a turnoff. They're like, it doesn't look very good. Like, why does it look so cheap? But I actually think it's a strength at the end of the day.
Yeah, and there's nice details, like you can see those like lines that represent the wind.
Yeah.
It just makes everything feel more alive. There's fireflies; they don't do anything, but it's just a nice ambient,
Mm-hmm.
nice fills out the space. It's
Feels
a pretty
magical.
game. It's nice.
Yeah.
It does feel magical. Yeah.
Almost like WoW. I want to keep comparing this game to classic WoW, but there's a lot of things that stand out that make me think of it. Just as
Yeah.
character, it really does feel like its own thing.
Yeah. So what really appeals to me about Valheim and other survival games in general is like I want to like MMOs a lot, but I always feel like they end up being there's a lot of chores and like just a lot of work and grinding. I want to play a game where it's like a world you can be in and inhabit and make changes to. But a lot of MMOs end up being more like theme parks than like actual living, breathing worlds. And that's where like games like Valheim, really appeal to me. Is like there's a world that I can go in and interact with others. Sure, not as many people as WoW, but I can interact with my friends, and that's good enough for me.
That's
But
yeah,
also, make
yeah.
changes to the world. Yeah.
I think that's kind of the beauty of this, and I wonder how many studios will aim to replicate this, because that has been the pursuit of so many people to create that one living world that everyone lives in, right? Expanding the MMO architecture, the capabilities, right? We know there are companies working towards making it so it's not even servers, but it's one giant world. Like that's honestly being worked on for games like Star Citizen, and Amazon is potentially working on that for like a new Lord of the Rings MMO. That's been something I've heard
Oh,
on,
really?
yeah, it's just rumblings of that. But like, is it ever going to feel truly alive after having something like this where you can take a mountain and just level it? If that's what you want to do, you want to level this mountain and make this flat, you can do that. It'll take you a long time to do it, but you have the ability to do that. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah. It's a world that you can make. You can leave your mark on. It's cool. It's fun to build.
It is. All right. Before we like dive deep into some of these other games, have you looked at the roadmap for what's coming this year for Valheim?
I actually haven't. I've seen some of the suggestions that people put online. For instance, being able to dig deeper with the pickaxe, but I haven't seen the developer's roadmap yet.
So we don't know exactly what each of these updates contain, but the first one is going to be called Hearth and Home. So we can assume this is just going to be, lots more crafting tools for around the house, new kinds of chairs, new kinds of buildings, maybe, who knows? That's cool. Number two, we could speculate, it's called Cult of the Wolf. Now, my first thought with this was maybe like some kind of humanoid pack that's like a cult of the wolf, right? Either Vikings, bad Vikings, was kind of my thought process. What do you think this would be?
I would say that sounds like either a new boss or being able to domesticate dogs and domesticate more
Ooh,
domestication tools. Because I know you can tame. You don't really tame pigs, but you can start breeding pigs. But
yeah, you can
maybe
pin
being
them
able to
and
have like wolf companions and stuff.
Can you imagine having a bobsled?
Oh yeah,
I'm
or
getting
just even just a giant ward that you ride around.
Oh man, that would be cool. Yeah, mounts in
Uh,
general on land would be cool. Update number 3 this year is ships in the sea. So I'm sure you've run into a serpent before.
yeah,
Fun. Yeah, it is very fun, especially that first
Always
time.
at the most inconvenient time when your ship is full of iron and the last thing you need it for it to sink, and it starts bashing your hull.
Yep, it's definitely happened to me. But I think variety would be cool, and it sounds like they'll be giving us more ship options, more ship tools. One thing that I immediately wish we could do is like have some kind of light source on her ship. So I actually often make my wife sit at the front with her little flashlight helmet and be like, you're the eyes, and let's go forth, because it can get really hard to see at night sometimes.
Yeah, I want to be able to build things on the ship, like be able to build a tool bench so you can repair the ship without having to scramble to land.
I feel like you need
Or
something bigger than a longboat, because even a longboat workbench would feel tight.
yeah,
But that
or
would be
even
cool.
just like mounted weapons.
Or like
It's kind of a bummer having one person be the harpoon man
yeah,
on the boat.
I agree with that. Even if we could just have the harpoon mounted on the boat, that would be huge because it's like, okay, my job is to be the stamina for the harpoon. Yay. Like, it's not that exciting.
Yeah. Or just like a metal ring you can just tie the harpoon to. That's not much to ask for. I think we can get that at the very least.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And then the fourth update is they're gonna finish the Mistlands. And I don't know if you've come across the Mistlands or Mistlands, but they're in the game. And we stumbled into the border and we immediately ran away. That was actually last night. But that's
The farthest I gone was the hills, the plains,
okay.
and a bee chased me and I got scared. So haven't been to the Midlands yet.
I mean, sometimes you'll just stumble into them, but yeah, when we were going to fight the third boss, we ended up my wife was just like, "What is that huge tree?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So I like walk over to her, and I'm not gonna say exactly what we saw. I'll let you, be surprised when you see it, but it's incomplete. So like we ran in, we were like terrified. We're like creeping through, like, what are we gonna find? Like nothing. It's actually just unfinished, which is kind of neat. Because this again is an early access game.
Yeah. I'm glad that they're focusing on building first.
Yeah.
Because honestly, that's probably what I spend the most time doing in that game. Playing house kind of. I like, just building giant cool Viking halls and other crazy structures and seeing what my friends make. So I'm glad that they're expanding out that tool set first.
Agreed. I think that's the biggest one. I kind of wish Ships in the Sea was sooner, but at the same time, like it'll just be great to have these updates coming in, right?
Yeah.
Right now sailing is great because you're just going point A to point B, but when they're mixing it up and if they start doing special events, in the ocean, that'd be cool. So they have another list on their roadmap that's called If Odin Wills It. So this is other stuff they'd like to get to, but they're not sure that they will. Multiplayer interactions is one of them. I don't know what that entails. Maybe we can sit on each other's shoulders and run around that way. I don't know. Combat improvements, pretty self-explanatory. Moon phases, no idea what that would mean. Maybe wolves are more active or something at certain moon phases. I don't know. Maybe they're werewolves. Yeah, tides. Yeah, that's a good one. Tar pits. Again, don't really know what that means or what that would entail. I guess getting stuck in the tar. That doesn't sound very fun, but who knows?
Might be a fuel source. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be
Imagine
it.
not having to refill your torches
That would be
around your
awesome.
bases often.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be cool. Or maybe even just new forms of torches, or having a torch you can bring with you that's like lasts forever. Vendor inventory expansion, so that'll be nice. Buy a backpack or something. I can't say this word. Svaltfar brigands.
That sounds like pirates.
Could be.
Viking pirates.
Please.
Yeah, like imagine sea raiders just appearing.
Oh my god, that actually sounds way too fun. The events that happen as it is are really fun.
Yeah, but imagine if they're kind of like the Endermen in Minecraft, and they aren't just there to try to break your stuff, but trying to take your stuff.
Oh my god.
After a fight, you open up your chest and realize all your iron and silver is gone. Oh man, I would have a heart attack.
God, that actually sounds really fun, but really stressful.
Yeah. But then again, that could open up doors to like, oh, they took it, now you got to take it back. Right. Find their boat or their base.
Maybe they left a clue as to like where they would be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the exploration part of this game is incredibly fun, and like having reasons to go places is half of why you explore, right? I think it's the part of the genius is the way they did the boss system, the way the bosses gate resources, right? So if you want to get iron, you have to beat the second boss, and so on. And it gives you just a really nice sense of progression that most of these other games don't have.
Yeah. Like in the forest, you find items, that are pre-made, like a better,
like a key card,
axe or something, a key card, and that opens the door to other things. But this, you find new resources, so you're still driving that progression forward by creating new technology everything is going forward by your hand, opposed to just finding keys to open the next door.
Right.
You're making the key,
Well, the other thing
which
with
I
the
appreciate.
forest is like the forest is an amazing game, and
Yeah,
but it is a very, very, very time consuming game just in terms of exploring the caves, because you'll find a key card, but there's no clues really. I mean, there's a few photos here and there that might tell you tidbits as to like where something might be, but you don't really ever know what you're looking for. It's like, okay, there's an X, and so there's something buried under this tree. I'm gonna go dig there. What do I find? I was like, oh, I found part of a gun. That's cool, but it's not helping you progress in the story. It's helping you progress with a specific item. And
yeah,
the Forest has got one of the. I mean, I played that game as it was being developed. I did not expect the game to have a story, right? But it does, and it's. I don't know. I really liked it. I'm pumped for the sequel, which we'll talk about shortly.
yeah, yeah. I wasn't expecting a story of that either. I played that last year for the first time, and I thought it was just scary Minecraft, but yeah, it was very interesting way of storytelling. I really like how it was all sort of almost like found footage, but
Yeah, it
a
was.
little bit of everything.
Yeah, it was very well done. The other small dev, Ed I believe, is the name of the developer that makes that game. Um, the final things on the if Odin wills it list is more unique locations, which is only great. And then sandbox mode, and then it just says Munin, which is the bird's name, if I'm not mistaken, like the raven that gives you tips. So I don't know why he's on the list there. I don't really know what that means, but anyways, exciting stuff
Yeah,
for Valheim. Lots to look forward to. Lots to still be discovered for me and you and many people as well. Not everyone can grind the game 50 hours a week.
yeah. We've put a bunch of hours into our world, and last night I was looking at the map and I was just struck by how little of it we've explored as it is. Um, so there's still a lot more that needs to be done before we can say that we beat the game.
Yeah, no, and even then with a game like this, beating the game is only for now. Then they're going to add stuff and then there's going to be more game to be had. So it's
Yeah,
the problem with that for me is now I'm hoarding every single possible item because I'm just like, well, they might make this more useful for something in the future, because right now maybe there's not a use for X item, but who knows what this case will be. Maybe that'll be a currency. Deer heads. That could be a currency in the future. We don't know.
yeah, we have boxes and boxes of deer heads.
Exactly, but
The
it's like,
tedious space.
oh, it's in the way, but I don't want to get rid of it either.
Yeah, we're like hoarders. You gotta like walk around it to get to other things.
Yeah.
That should be a TV show, Video Game Hoarders, where I'm the kind of guy who, when I play a game, I just save every health potion and not use it because I might use it later. I might use it later. Some person who just goes through, your inventory. It's like, you got to get rid of this.
This
You got to
user
get rid
has
of this level
14 bank alts on one server. It's like, what?
This level 1 armor. You're level 200. You don't need it. You don't need it.
Yeah, I've definitely been there. But I'll at some point I'll get so sick of it, I'll just purge. I'll just like purge everything and feel so good at the end. But let's transition to talk about the forest, because if you guys haven't played the forest, we were chatting about it a bit. The plot is basically a dad and his son are flying in an airplane. The airplane crashes on an island, and you basically regain consciousness as the father, seeing some dude that's just red grab your son and then just leave. And then you stand up with an axe and you go. You find out you're covered in an island covered in cannibals and all other kinds of weird stuff. And you have to find your son, essentially. But there's no one to tell you what to do. There's no direction at all. And you have to survive. So basically, this is where a lot of people just say, okay, I'm going to cut trees down and build a base. Right? That's what everyone does, really. And how much have you played this game? Have you beaten it?
Yeah, we got to the ending. I know there's extra stuff you can do afterwards.
Yeah, they've
but
added
we
that in the past few years.
Yeah, for instance, there's one loose end that we didn't get to. Can I spoil much?
Yeah,
Or-
that's fine. That's fine. I mean, this
Okay,
game is old
well,
enough.
At one point, you find a yacht off the shore, and there's a door. We never opened that door, so I don't know what's going on behind there.
Wait, in
But
the right when you walk in and down below?
Yeah. Oh
Uh,
wait, did we do that?
is it just the small boat or is it a
Yeah.
full yacht?
No, the small boat.
The little tiny boat, like the little personal
Isn't
boat.
there?
There's not much.
There's
It's just
one
some
door.
photographs in there. Yeah, there's nothing crazy in there though.
You know what? Yeah. The game kind of like branches out in different directions, so it's kind of hard to keep track. But I
It
remember
is.
there's something we didn't do, but we got, we saw the ending cinematic and we saw like credits,
Okay. Okay.
and the after credits sequence when Nick Fury comes and recruits you. But oh, did I say too much?
It's fine. One of the cool things about the game, especially as this is another game that I'm looking at it for survival early access, is there's this massive crater in the middle of the ground, right? That wasn't always there. I was playing the game before that existed, and one day I logged in and it's just like, what the heck is this? So it's, they continuously added new kinds of creatures to the game. And like, I maybe didn't read the patch notes, or maybe they didn't put it in the patch notes, and then you just come across it in a new play and it's just like, what am I looking at? So I'm hoping Valheim will have similar things where stuff trickles in over time and continues to spice it up, because the Forest did a great job with that.
That's wild. I didn't know that. Like I said, I played last year, so everything was already, baked in. I didn't
Yeah,
know
I
that
was playing it for like
sinkhole just.
7 years. I've been playing that game almost.
Oh
I
wow.
feel like so. It's definitely like a little. It's a game that has a special place, in my heart, because it's the game that really made me fall in love with survival games. Now, we just got a trailer maybe a couple months back for Sons of the Forest. And End Night is like, again, a tiny studio. I feel like there are a handful of people that made this game, but now they clearly have a budget because the Forest was released on PlayStation. It's on PC. It has PC VR. It has PSVR. And they were clearly very successful with that game. They supported it for a long time, and I was worried they were going to kind of move away from it. Now, looking back a year, they showed the initial teaser for Sons of the Forest, and to me, it looked like a first-person shooter horror game, and I was really sad. I was like, they're going to be moving away from like this whole survival thing, which they did so well. But nope, they released the official trailer, and it's very true to what the Forest is. But as far as I know, it's a prequel, because Dan, you know what a Virginia is, right? Those
The
four-legged
state.
lady things. No, they're one of the creatures have names in the Forest.
Oh, yeah. The four-legged leg thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have you seen the Sons of the Forest trailer?
Yeah, it like opened up and had like teeth and stuff,
Well, that
right?
was one of the creatures they showed. Those are called fingers. They're just
Ooh.
called fingers. And I'm like really into the Force, clearly, if I know all this stuff. If you watch it, and again, this is just me analyzing it, but there's a girl that looks like she's like half human still, but half Virginia. So I think these are like the Virginias in mutation, essentially. So I don't know. It looks really interesting. I encourage you to go watch that trailer. If you've never played The Forest, I encourage you to check it out. Spend some time, give it some friends, and really just explore. It is a great way to get spooked. But Sons of the Forest, I believe, is dropping this year. So, and the graphics are just so nice in Sons of the Forest.
Yeah. I was struck by, despite being a multiplayer game, it's still very scary. A lot of times when you add that multiplayer element to a horror game, it makes it less scary. Like I remember playing back in the day, ages ago now, Resident Evil 5 and Mass Effect 3. Just having a friend there, made the monsters a little less scary. There's
Yeah.
someone there to comfort you. But the Forest is like, there's still a lot of isolation. Like there's nothing scarier than realizing that your friends had like accidentally, ran off without you because you're like, managing your items, or like, you went to the bathroom and
Especially in
you're
the cave and you can't find your friend. Yeah.
pitch black. Oh,
One
yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the most impressive things with the Forest is, typically when you go into like a dungeon or you go underground, that's like an isolated little dungeon. But in the Forest, there's the above ground and then there's the below ground. And the below ground is all connected, which is crazy. Like it's impossible to memorize. I've spent, I don't know, way too many hours down in those caves trying to learn my way around. And it's impossible. It really is, for me at least.
Yeah. You try to pen and paper it with like have some graph paper and try to map it out by hand?
You can,
Or
and that would probably help, but I'm way too lazy for that. I just want to
yeah,
like, I'm good at learning my way around a map and like remembering it. I have a very photographic memory, but in the caves, it's just too hard. It really is.
yeah, so easy to get turned around.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. That's my number one anticipated game for the survival genre later this year, but we can't not mention New World in more details. How much do you know about New World?
I know there was an alpha last year. I
Yep,
signed up, but I didn't get selected.
feels
I
bad.
know it has sort of like a colonial theme, and looks like some conquistadors are fighting some monsters, but then there's a monster conquistador, and it's an RPG.
Yep, pretty much spot on. What we also know is the game's going into open beta in July and dropping in August. So it
Oh,
does
okay.
have an official release date. It was supposed to be out already, but they decided to delay and add more late game content and more additional polish before shipping it because a lot of the feedback was the late game content was too linear, there wasn't
Mm-hmm.
enough. So they gave themselves about 8 months to continue building more content, which is probably a smart call. So many MMOs ship, and this is a game calling itself an MMO, not a survival game. So many games MMOs ship without enough late game content. Now, this is
Yeah.
an MMO which has. I actually was privileged enough. I did some work with Amazon Game Studios, probably like 4 years ago, and I got to play New World when it was like nothing. Like it was like game barely ran, right? And it's come like a long ways, and it's cool to kind of see like what they were trying to do and what they wanted to do. There was a lot of, I would almost say the initial version of the game that I played was closer to what Valheim is. There was a lot more base building. There was a lot more, creating that kind of base and world and stuff. In New World, there is definitely like you can build a campsite and you can rest and you can cook and you can eat and there's a ton of crafting, but I don't know how much base building there's going to be. And
Mhm.
what I'm really curious about is what they're thinking right now. They know about Valheim. They see Valheim's success. I wonder if they're like, all right, our first expansion is going to be more crafting or what? It's super interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean, at least from like what I've read and stuff, like that was a major like struggle, when colonizing the New World is like creating and maintaining a foothold in a landscape. You have places like Roanoke where they just like disappeared off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Like that could be, some compelling gameplay, like not only securing a space for your base, but defending it from nature and from attackers and stuff.
That it,
But like I said, I haven't really played much of this game.
yeah.
I've seen trailers and stuff. My friends are pretty psyched for it, so I'm definitely gonna check it out when it comes out.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna play it, and I'm excited to see what their content loop looks like because that's what I don't really know. I don't know what it's like to there. I think there are different factions, if I'm not mistaken. I believe there was like three different factions, and your faction can control like territory, and there is
Mm,
some like fighting over territory and fighting over towns. But I don't think it's actually like I don't know how much that evolves the world per se, or what
yeah,
kind of benefits. I know there's like taxes if you're part of this faction and you control this zone, the sales prices or whatever are better. But we'll see. I just hope there's a good amount of community like economy. Like if the players are able to control the game and have a meaningful impact on how things run, then that's good in my opinion.
yeah. That faction sounds pretty fun. That's at least when I played WoW back in the day. That was like one of the draws is
Yeah.
there's like that conflict baked in, and I feel like that also with the Old Republic when I played that was also really fun. Having that Sith Empire versus the Republic thing going on. And when MMOs haven't had that conflict baked in, I feel like there's
You're missing something.
something
Yeah,
missing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I agree.
there's not as much driving me forward
Because if it's all
as in
just a ton of players versus the world, it's just kind of like,
yeah,
it just, yeah, I'm with you on that. Which is
yeah.
kind of,
There's not as much drama.
yeah, no, for sure, for sure. What else you play in terms of survival games? You mentioned the Raft briefly.
Yeah, I played the Raft last year. Pretty much the past year, my friends and I have been on sort of a survival game, co-op game vendor. As we can't hang out as much in person
Yeah.
due to lockdown stuff, games like The Raft, The Forest, and now Valheim, they provide a safe hangout space. Especially with Valheim, we could just chill out in our Viking hall and drink tasty meads all day. But yeah, we played the Raft last year. We got up to the island with the bear, I believe. I know there's some new content now. We just haven't been able to go back and
You probably played the same time
it.
as I did, because that's where we got. That was like the last thing they added. Their honey, and there was like a big bear, I think. But
yeah,
it's a cool game.
That game, yeah, there's lots of opportunity for shenanigans. Dumping someone, pushing someone off the boat, and then watching as they try to scramble back to the boat, just like goofy trolling things like that, leaving someone on an island, not telling them you're leaving.
How do you feel about the shark in that game?
The shark,
did you have it enabled or do you have it disabled?
Yeah, we had the shark. Me and the shark don't get along. Usually when we meet, there's some conflict.
Yeah.
It's fun having like, oh, we killed the shark, all right, swim down, get as much as you can, and we'd all scramble to pick up resources from the bottom of the island underneath the water, and then we'd scramble back as the shark got back. I think it's a nice antagonist, because without that shark there, the game might feel a little aimless. You might drift along too much. It's nice to have, sure, there's a goal of getting to the next objectives, but it's good to have in the meantime, in the short term, an antagonist to deal with.
Now, when I first played the game, my impressions basically went like this. One, the shark feels too linear because it's always there, right? It's just always there. But then I kind of said, okay, if it wasn't there, I agree with you. There would be not nowhere near enough. But do you think that eventually, I mean, I have no idea what the devs' plans are. Do you think that eventually they could progress to having like a series of events that could happen rather than just a shark that follows you? Do you think that would be interesting, or would it be too high variable of like a giant squid just destroys your raft?
Yeah, I mean, that would be pretty cool. Instead of just having a shark, have other events and stuff. Like, I know there's like storms and stuff, but I don't think the storms are ever dramatic enough to tip your boat or cause significant damage. A giant kraken would be cool. I'd be down for that. I don't know, maybe like a pod of dolphins can pull your boat or something.
That would be nice, like to have like nice events. It's something that I complain about with Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is like, okay, why aren't there good things that out here in the world too, right? It's like, sure, you'll see the occasional spooky thing, but like it'd be cool to have something, not like a rare event where it's like dolphins just brought you tons of loot. Yay.
Yeah.
Like that'd be really fun.
Yeah. But don't make it too common, or else the game would be too easy.
Well, you think about
I can see that.
You think about like Diablo. You have all kinds of rare enemies that can spawn, but you could also find a treasure goblin, which just means, hey, I struck gold. Like we just randomly came across the treasure goblin, and we get all kinds of loot for free, essentially. And that's fun. It's rewarding, and it's super rare. That's how it should be.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like I think, maybe some variety with that event, the shark event would benefit the game. But off the top of my head, I'm not sure. Beyond like dolphins and krakens, what you would do.
Who knows?
Storms, or maybe what is that? A whirlpool.
Oh,
you have to sail out of that. That'd be fun.
They could even make some kind of mini game out of. I don't know. It depends on what you have with your raft, but I do got to give the raft a lot of credit because it's something very different. Because rather than building a base, you're building a mobile water base, essentially a raft. And the recipes and stuff that you get, and the way they send you to these coordinates, you basically get like a radio tower, and you can start getting coordinates to drive A to B. Because otherwise, it does really feel like Waterworld, the movie. If you guys have ever seen that movie from the '90s, where there is almost no land. You find an island, and it's very tiny. Because I think the plot is like the ice caps have melted, and now the world is just water, essentially. And there's
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty much just I believe that's what it is. Essentially, it's just water, and everything is completely submerged, and you're just here on this little raft trying to survive, and there's little tidbits of a story. But that game is another game worth checking out. It's still in active development, so they're releasing patches here and there. You and I were both out of date on it, so because they have released updates since we last played. So cool, something to look forward to. If you guys are interested in survival games at all, there's a lot to check out. But Valheim, I think that's the hot one right now, and I encourage
Yeah.
everyone to $20. It's such an easy buy.
Yeah, I've definitely gotten my money's worth out of it.
Yeah.
So far, and I think I've only had it for a couple weeks now, maybe 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Um,
If you're
but
playing a
yeah,
game a month later and you pay $20 for it, that game is so value. Like that says a lot.
yeah, I paid for sandwiches that are $20, and that's only half an hour tops.
Sandwiches are always worth it though. Well, as long as they're
That's
good.
true. Yeah.
Dan, as we're winding down, any final thoughts?
Um,
What's your favorite survival game?
Favorite survival game? I think the one that I've spent the most hours in my entire life was DayZ mod back in the day, like 2011, 2012. I think I spent so much time playing that mod that it was like a second job for me.
Really?
Yeah, it was, granted, most of it was just walking around doing nothing. But when something happened, it was just the bee's knees. It was so exciting. I have so many just crazy stories and, just unscripted things that just happen in that game, just random player interactions with people that game was, I played the standalone game a little bit, but it just, I think maybe I was like tired of it at that point, but it just couldn't match the magic that the DayZ mod had. It was something else.
I'm sad I never played it. I mean, I guess it's never too late.
Yeah. I've been meaning to look into see like if that mod is still active. I'm not sure how active it is, if people still play it, even if I even can play it. But just like all sorts of crazy events, you're running into people and, just having that open world where there's not really any rules. So like anything can happen when you meet someone. Sometimes they're nice, sometimes they're friendly. They want to if they need help and you have a blood bag and they can give you some ammo. But most times it, ended up being like an intense fight.
Yeah.
Game of cat and mouse through a town, or someone's chasing you down with a helicopter or something. Just crazy things like that.
Makes you wonder when you think about games like that. You think about the way Valheim's approaching this with like these servers where you can have however many people. What if we could host our own PUBG server with our own crafting and some kind of whatever world like that? Like, would people play that? I haven't played PUBG in many years. But PUBG was definitely one of those games that broke out and was huge before Fortnite. PUBG was, everybody played it. And, it still has an audience. People still play it, but I feel like PUBG Mobile might be like the bigger game. But like if they gave us the chance to play on a blank server that's ongoing, hosted by, server hosting or whatever, I don't know. I think I'd be all over that personally. Just a random
thought. I used to play like on an apocalypse server in Minecraft. And that was kind of like what that was, a big world that was just on 24/7. And, people would come more often than not and just take your stuff and destroy your base. But that would be kind of cool for Valheim, just like, a large server with a bunch of people. And, sometimes, just those unplanned, unstructured play interactions. That's what I think is really fun. Just, who knows? They might be nice. They might just try to take your stuff.
It's great. It's great for like streaming culture too. I mean, it's really, really fun. Organic stuff, role playing comes into play if you want to do that. Role play servers. So
I want to watch a role play stream. That'd be really funny.
It would be really fun. Really fun. Very cool. All right, Dan. Well, thank you for joining me to just kind of jam and chat about survival games.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is great.
A lot of fun. And guys, we do this every week. We just kind of sit down, talk about a different video game, different genre, whatever. And frankly, lately it's just kind of we're rolling with the punches, seeing what's fun, what everybody's playing. Right now, Valheim's consuming my life, so it was nice to sit down and chat about it and look forward to it. And it'll be fun to check in as this game continues to be developed over time. But that's gonna do it here for ROG Sidequest. We'll see you next time, everyone. GG's. Take care.